What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast, episode 164. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and you can catch the podcast live over on twitch.tv/Enigma9011, usually every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You join the chat, join on the discussion, join on the fun over there if you can catch it live. But if you can't catch it live, that is a-okay. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video and MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support the show by leaving a review, a comment, sharing it with somebody you love. It may seem small, but it does go a long way. Helps the channel grow, helps the show get bigger, so we would appreciate you for it. Today, we're flying solo. We had a lot of good guest podcasts lately. But yeah, we're going to do a solo one today. 3 quick topics with you guys, going over a wide array of stuff. We got some wrestling, we got some movies, we got some games. So let's jump on into it. If you are watching this now, as of recording, Elimination Chamber was this past Saturday. So I wanted to briefly talk about the event itself, the 5 matches that took place, the results, the ups, the downs, just give my opinion about that. And, maybe talk about what's going on in the future, but we'll have to see. So overall, Elimination Chamber, how was it? I thought the pay-per-view was really, really good, and considering it's not one of the big 4, this was kind of surprising. There was a lot of anticipation going into the pay-per-view, especially most of it revolving around the main event with Roman Reigns defending against Sami Zayn for the Universal Undisputed whatever championship of the world. A lot of anticipation going to that. What's going to happen with that? They're in Sami's hometown. Is that going to change things? Are they going to modify the story? What is going to happen? So there was a lot of anticipation building up to that. So I think that was the drawing force of interest to watch the pay-per-view. But then match-wise, I think overall across the night, except for one point, everything kind of delivered, and the superstars themselves really performed very well and showed up to this event to make it a fun watch throughout. So, pay-per-view consisted of 5 different matches throughout the night. We had the Women's Elimination Chamber to figure out the number 1 contender to the Raw Women's Championship. We had Bobby Lashley against Brock Lesnar. We had the mixed tag with Edge and Beth Phoenix taking on Finn Balor and Rhea Ripley. We had the U.S. title being defended in the Elimination Chamber. And then lastly, we had the Universal Championship on the line. So, we kicked it off with the ladies. So, we had Asuka, Raquel Rodriguez, Natalya, Liv Morgan, Carmella, and why am I blanking? One other lady. Crud. All right, we had all of these 6 in there. Nikki Cross. How did I forget Nikki? Asshole. That's me. 6 ladies did a great job. Thank you, Papa Griff. 6 ladies did a great job. I think it was smart to start with Natalya and Liv in there. I know the two have been working quite a bit, it seems, and training together over in Natalya and Tyson Kidd's school. So obviously they have chemistry working together. So I think that was smart to kick this off. As for the rest of the match, I think the ladies did good. As Papa Griff says in chat, Nikki Cross with the best spot with the dive off the pod. I think she's done it before, but good to see her get that spotlight once again. Raquel looks strong, showing off her power. Carmella was the slimy heel. She was probably the low point here. Surprising. No offense, Natalya, but character's not super interesting. Liv did well, and obviously Asuka taking the win here. I will say this was probably the most predictable of the matches. I didn't really see this going any other way, along with a lot of other people. Asuka was kind of the clear front runner here. A little unfortunate that she was last. Similar to our discussion with the Royal Rumble, Cody coming in 30, not the worst thing in the world, but just was like, oh, well, you're the freshest person. If we're just going to go on numbers alone, that would make sense why you would be there. But I think all 6 did a great job. We got some funny spots with Mela trying to hide. We got the high spot with Nikki doing the dive. Some things worked. And some things didn't as that guy races away. Or lady, who knows. One spot that I don't think worked personally that we kind of went back to a few times. Obviously, you have the chain wall on the side. I get smashing people into the chain. Great. That's going to hurt. I don't know why 3 or 4 times we decide to stick our heads through the chain and be pressed against it to go, ah! I thought that was kind of silly and dumb. Didn't look very effective in any way, especially when the ladies are, maneuvering their head to stick it through. Once would have been fine, but the fact we saw it 4 times was a little weird. There was, I feel like there was one other spot that was a little rough. But on the positive side of things, some spots that were very, very good. We saw Nikki Cross with the dive off the pod. Great. We saw Liv Morgan with a sunset bomb off of the pod, kind of doing a little dive roll onto, I believe it was Raquel. I could be wrong. We saw Raquel doing some power moves as we got her smashing somebody on the cage, and then she got smashed on the outside, and Raquel smashing Nikki through the pod. That was great. A little concerning because I think it was last year. I know Bobby Lashley, granted he was in the pod when that pod spot had happened last year. Bobby got a concussion, I think, lost the title there, and they kind of had to pull an audible. That could have been last year. That could have been 2 years ago. Not entirely sure. But seems like everybody's fine. I haven't heard anything from any of the news media outlets in the wrestling world. But yes, that was a good spot. Like I said, I think everybody looked really strong here for their characters. Raquel comes off as a beast, as we need to build her back up to be. Nothing wrong with her being face. I think she just needs to get back to that domination she was kind of having towards the end of her NXT run. Liv looked stronger every time. They did the whole angle where she didn't technically tap out here, and it had to be 2 submissions to eliminate her from the match and make her pass out. Totally fine with that. Keeps her elevated as someone who won't give up and is tenacious. Good. Mela being slimy heel does it well, so good for her. Asuka looked great. I agree. Face paint looked amazing as she's going with this more Kana inspired version of herself. That looked good. Natalya, solid. We know she's always been solid and will continue to be solid. It's just that personality thing doesn't really resonate. And then Nikki continuing this, Sanity-esque inspired version of herself. It's interesting. Hopefully, once again, this Sanity angle kind of picks up momentum, maybe heading into Mania season. We will see that as we pick up the weekly shows from here. But good performance from the ladies. I wouldn't say it was amazing, but it was a fun time. Good match by everybody. Ending was a little bit flat. I understand it was the submission, but it was just kind of over right there. But good job by them. Let's talk about the low point of the night, shall we? Bobby Lashley versus, watch your ears, Brock Lesnar. Okay, so Brock Lesnar and Bobby fought again for their 3rd time. And we thought, okay, this is going to be the rudder match, whatever it's called. We're going to figure out who takes it here. And then apparently Bray Wyatt is going to hocus pocus, spooky wookie, fight whoever wins this. They fought for all of maybe 5 minutes. I'm not surprised. We got F5s. We got spears. We got a hurt lock. We got a second hurt lock. And Brock proceeds to not be able to escape and kicks Bobby in the nuts. Disqualification. Bobby wins. Brock's pissed. F5's Bobby to the table. F5's the ref. That was it. Now, I just don't... Okay. Sidebar. I listened to Busted Open talk about this morning because I enjoy their opinion and respect their opinion. What they're saying, totally understand. Totally understand. From the story point perspective, oh no, Brock knows that the hurt lock is his weakness. He can't escape it, so now he's going to be threatened by it. This can lead to another match. I don't agree with Dave LaGreca's being like, oh, you were disappointed? Go fuck yourself. I don't agree with that. I think, like, if this didn't resonate with you, like it didn't resonate with me, fine, whatever. From my perspective, while the story that they explained this could build into, I get it, makes sense. From my side of things, and granted, one person across the million, everything is not going to pertain to me, nor should everything be, catered to me. It's a variety program. I don't give two shits. I just don't care. I don't care what happens here. If whatever's happening with Bray, I will be there for that because I want something to happen. But you do Brock Bobby 4, I don't care. Honestly, I didn't care about this match. And then you're going to be like, well, why are you bitching about this match? Because I can. I don't know. This was one, as soon as I knew it was happening, I'm like, I'm making dinner. Like, I just got up. I'm like, I don't care. Why should I be invested? That's all. I get Bobby's very talented. Bobby's impressive. Brock's very impressive. I can never take anything away from those two in terms of like what they do. Me, fan, watching, don't care. If you get something out of it, great. Eat it up. I don't. I just don't care. If they go with the stipulation, like you're saying, Papa Griff, last man standing, I quit. Fine. Still gonna be like, for me personally. For me, I'm just like, I don't care. I'm done. So, let's get out of this hole for me and let's move on to the next match. Mixed tag. Edge and Beth taking on Finn and Rhea. Edge and Beth would end up winning this one. This one was solid. I think it was fun. I think it was good. We did have a little bit of a mistiming communication with the whole knuckles, brass knuckles punch by Rhea. Edge had to kick out instead of Beth saving him. I get it. It's a whole song and dance that happens. They barely saved it. Looked a little cheesy, but we moved past it. Dominic being the, shitty heel, running, hiding, interfering, stuff like that still works. A little surprising that Edge and Beth took the win here. I thought maybe they'd want to keep Rhea strong going forward with the title match against Charlotte, but all in all, not really that much against her in the loss here. I hope that this story is done. I know there are rumors, and there may still be, who knows, that Edge and Finn were going to go and do a Hell in a Cell at the WrestleMania show. Not that those two obviously can't work, or not that they would put on a bad match. This is just one of those stories that feels like it's been going on a long time, and this makes sense of, like, both heroes coming together, redemption with the whole Beth chair shot thing, obviously, hounding on Edge for a while. This, to me, would make sense as an ending point. I don't feel like they need to drag it on another pay-per-view, but time will tell. Edge is fighting Theory tonight as of recording on Monday Night Raw for the U.S. title. Not that I think Edge will win that, but just a note. We'll have to see if any shenanigans happen there, or if Mr. Cena will interact. Speaking of, I guess that's spoiler alert for our men's U.S. Championship title in the Elimination Chamber match. Theory did retain. Now, this, I would say, was probably my favorite match of the night, and I know that is comparing it to the main event. I would say the main event was the most emotional match of the night. But this Elimination Chamber, I had the most fun with. This one is a match where I enjoy all 6 competitors that were in the ring. I've been a big fan of Johnny Gargano for a while. Bronson Reed was one that won me over when he was in NXT, winning the North American title and going from there. Montez Ford obviously doing great stuff with the Street Profits. Theory I enjoy. Rollins has been around forever. And Priest is one who has shown, obviously, he can do great stuff, whether he's face or heel. This was the one I thought wide open. We could do whatever we wanted here. Anyone who won here, I would have totally been down 100% for. In the end, little predictable for this night. Theory's going against Cena, we think, and Rollins is going to go against Logan Paul, as we see with the interference later on. So a little cookie cutter, I guess, in the end, but the match itself was great. I think all 6 of them looked amazing. They all played their roles well. Austin did the hide spot like Carmella. Probably could have talked that out, maybe not done the same thing. He was the shitty heel. You had Bronson looking tough as hell, eating a bunch of super kicks, 3 finishers before he gets eliminated, doing double moves onto people. Bronson looked fantastic, and that's what they needed to do for 2 reasons. 1, being on the main roster now and not NXT. We need to show him to the grand audience. That was great. 2, obviously he's just coming back from being let go maybe a year ago from NXT, getting let go, going over to New Japan, crushing at New Japan, and now coming back as, I guess, the Miz's heater, giving him the spotlight here with the power and the heel antics. He did fantastic. Priest, another one, stepped out, and we know he's good. We saw his stuff with Bad Bunny, Miz and Morrison a few years back. He's part of the Judgment Day, but I think this was a nice kind of gimme to have him separate from that group. Not like break up, but like highlight him in a I don't know what I'm trying to say. In lieu of the group, whatever. He looked good. Gargano, obviously great. Rollins, we know he's great. Montez, another shining example. Not splitting up from Street Profits, but is given the ball to run here of like, hey, I could do this single stuff. I will agree. The DX, the little crotch chop, he's just kind of picked that up randomly. I will say maybe a little overdone in this match as he just crotch chopping the shit out of everybody. It was funny. Whatever. Let's talk about spots. So we talked about Bronson, 3 finishers to take him out. Great. We had almost another pod break with Bronson and Damian, but Damian didn't go through the pod. We had a Poison Rana after a clothesline, I think. Springboard clothesline. And then Johnny Poison Rana'd Bronson. Cool. That looked a little scary on his head, but obviously Poison Ranas do that. And then we probably get to the most dangerous spot. Not Montez's drop from the top of the cage. But we got the power bomb. So Rollins and Gargano on top of the cell. Rollins picks up Gargano to power bomb him off into the group of other competitors off of the cell. He goes to power bomb him off of the pod. Gargano reverses it into a Hurricane Rana into the other guys. I think this went off fantastic. Crowd popped for it great. And a little observation that I just noticed in the replay especially, I appreciate, like, it's kind of inside baseball. Like, I just appreciate seeing the workings of, like, when people are keeping each other safe, and just makes me respect them all more. Priest was kind of in the corner between pod and turnbuckle corner, and he's there to catch, as they all are, but he kept Johnny safe from potentially clipping his head either on pod, falling wrong, hitting turnbuckle, whatever it is. I just want to say, good job to that. That was great. So yeah, little shenanigans with the finish, with Montez being injured, a little scary, but then I was like, oh, okay, I realize what we're doing here. Had to have the cell door open so Logan Paul can come in here, buckshot lariat into the curb stomp, shenanigans to set up the Mania match, and now we have Theory retained. So, once again, little cookie cutter / predictable if you're in the grand scheme of like, I'm keeping up with the internet websites, blah, 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 or the wrestling websites of like what is presumably to come at Mania. But I think overall this was entertaining. Spots were great. And all 6 people were elevated in this match, which is what you want really from any match, is some way where both people, competitors, whatever, can move forward even in a loss. How can we still keep the audience interested in this person? So let's talk about the main event. Probably, once again, like I said earlier, the most emotional of the matches here at Elimination Chamber. We had no idea, at least from an anticipation point, what was going to happen here. Was Roman going to retain? Are we going to go predictable to set up to Rhodes? Or is Sami going to somehow manage to have this triumphant moment, whether it was a Daniel Bryan-esque moment, a Kofi Mania moment, whatever it is? Would he be able to get the title in his hometown and take it from Roman? Crowd was red hot for this one, cheering on their boy Sami, as a lot of people were. And I think the two did a great job. We got a big dive from Sami, throwing it back to, I'd say, old NXT days. We almost got that diving DDT through the corner turnbuckles, but Roman was able to interfere and interrupt that. Other than that, not a lot of big spots, just a lot of slow, methodical playing to the crowd, playing to, the interactions with Sami's wife and the family that was there. Very good, very tense. We had shenanigans with the referees. We had Jimmy Uso come out and interfere. We had Jey Uso come out and have a standoff moment. We had Sami, unfortunately, spear Jey Uso. And then we got the finish there a little lackluster, as Sami does fall and Roman does retain. I understand why a lot of people are maybe upset with this, that maybe things should have changed, maybe it should have been different. And I can't say, yep, you're right, yep, you're wrong, because it would have been an amazing moment. No doubt about it. Montreal would have been on fire. They already were on fire going into the match. It would have been something special. It's like we've talked about in past podcast episodes. It's tough. They're in a very tough spot right now. Like, what do you do? You've been setting up this Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns match for the longest time. You have Rhodes coming in here saying he's going to do it for his dad. Dad never achieved it. That whole storyline. And this Sami thing obviously blew up at the bloodline. That kind of exploded there. It was like the impossible choice. Not to say that Sami and Cody would not be interesting at WrestleMania. But I don't know what you do there, man. I have no idea. Like, do you just then flip it so Cody's still on the same track and it's just like, hey, congratulations to you, but I need to beat you for this kind of thing? I guess you could have done that. But do you throw away all this setup of Roman all this time? Not to say Sami didn't deserve the win, but man, it's tough. It's tough in that perspective, at least in my opinion, of just like, here's this thing we built. Oh, nope, okay. And you throw it away. I don't know. I'm not sure. Does it seem like Cody will beat Roman? As of right now, I would say probably yes. It is a high % chance that Cody's going to win, and then Roman will go off, maybe take some time off, come back eventually as the looming threat, maybe a Rumble or something like that. Who knows? But yeah, very tough position for them to be in here. I think this is great for Sami, obviously. I hope it continues to be great for Sami going forward, where he can be seen in this upper picture, and it's not just like, oh, you had this, and then whoop, we all give up on him kind of deal. I don't know. Now, to discuss the Mania plans for Sami. Rumor ages ago was this going to be Sami KO versus Usos. Granted, could be happening right now as Sami apparently opens Monday Night Raw. I don't understand how that story makes sense from a few aspects. KO obviously came out, helped Sammy at the end. No embrace, no handshake, nothing. Oh, we got breaking news. All right, keep it to yourself until I'm done here. Okay, so no embrace. He just helps, and they kind of look at each other. Jay gets speared by Sammy. Okay, he's not going to be happy about that, right? But there's still this tension between Jay and the rest of the bloodline that I don't think he would be like, all right, bro, he speared me. We're back together. Fuck that guy. Like, that doesn't make sense or add up to me. And I know he came back on, what was it, SmackDown a week or two ago, helped out Jimmy retain the titles. It's just like we have relationships we still need to mend here and figure out between our tag champs, Bloodline, and then the Canadians. Like, it's weird that we would just be like, well, this is what we're going to do. I understand why, but right now, from where story was, doesn't check out. All right, Papa Griff hit me with that spoiler as we're recording live against Monday Night Raw, y'all. Raw. That's how we say Raw here. It's just, from my understanding here, if that was the plan, doesn't make sense. Okay. KO came out. Sammy said, let's go. KO said, F you, my words. Oh my God, is it going to be Sammy versus KO again? Good match. I know we've seen it a lot, but now that's another confusing thing. Like, what? Why? He came out and helped. Why is he pissed now? Like, granted, I'm not saying for the last time exactly. Like, what? I'm so confused. Like, I get it. Kevin tries. Like, they're not with you. They're not your family. Blah, blah, blah. Sammy kicks him in the balls. Haluva kick. The whole War Games thing. I get that. He's not gonna get over that quickly, but he has to see that his friend tried to do the right thing. Tried to stop the beatdown. Tried to move past the bloodline and past that. Papa Griffin chat says he came out so his fam did not see him get his ass beat like he did at Royal Rumble when Sammy did not stop the bloodline. So he's mad at Sammy for not stopping it earlier. Interesting. Okay. So KO is heel now. And it's these two are going to fight at Mania. Okay. That makes more sense. It's still a little confusing. Like I just was arguing against it. That makes more sense than the tag team route. So okie dokie. True. Yes, it depends. Everything's perspective based. Is KO the heel? That is fair. I guess that is what you want. You know, you want every good villain has good intentions. It's just how they go about it. I don't know if that's the right way to phrase it. Like a Magneto and X-Men. Like, yeah, he was tortured in the whole Holocaust and blah blah blah. Like, yeah, he makes good sense, but he's gone a little too far on the other side and doing that. Like, yeah, that's fair. At least that storyline makes more sense than the tag team, I will say. I personally enjoy the two working together. I know we teased ages ago, the last time ever these two will meet. Dragon Ball Z. Like, I get that. Those two, I feel, could crush it. But fair. So now, what's the tag team do? What was the Bloodline doing? What's up with them? Interesting. Speaking of tag teams, I totally forgot that we had a FTR / The Revival shout out during the Edge, Beth Phoenix, and Finn Balor Rhea Ripley match with the Shatter Machine. That made my ears perk up a little bit. But I guess we'll have to see what's going on there. So don't know if there's heat here, just no agreement to go after Bloodline together for now. Right, they got 6 weeks. You know, there's no guarantee it's going to be Sammy KO at Mania. I think it's 6 weeks. They got some time. Maybe they can brush their differences aside and then still go after the tag team titles and then kiss and make up there. You're right. Okay, just right now we're in a rocky relationship. Very well. Okay, so all in all, Elimination Chamber, very, very good, very entertaining, very interesting. I know a lot of people are heartbroken that Sammy didn't get the win here. Totally fair, totally get it. In my perspective, it just is like, do you take this thing that you built up for this long time, throw it in the trash? It may feel like a little weird, from like a Cody thing, like, do we root for Cody? You do, or at least that's what you want them to do. It's a little weird from a Cody thing just because maybe of the injury. The pectoral thing kind of threw a wrench in a lot of this. I feel if maybe he was around, didn't have that injury, maybe we would be a little bit more behind him. But right now it just feels like he's kind of given the golden path of like, here's the Rumble, here's number 30, here you win it, boom, you're in the title. A little rough. I can't blame you there if you're not behind Cody there for that. I will say I enjoy Cody, but yeah, I'm not like the biggest Cody fan ever. I think this makes sense. Not going to be my most favorite thing, but I don't know. We'll have to see. And then I guess if we really want to dig into the weeds, how does Switchblade factor into all this? Still no confirmation he's WWE bound, but they seem to be the favorite. So we'll see. We get a little tease at Mania. Does he pull a Cody like last year and he's a mystery opponent? Who knows? To be honest, kind of hate that stuff, says Popograph. Cody comes in, says give me belt, gets it. Mercedes shows up in Japan, says give me belt, gets it. BS. Fair. It is a very rough position that companies put themselves in when they do this, because from a booking standpoint, I signed Superstar A. I put Superstar A in title picture match. There's really not a lot of room to be like, they're going to lose, because you want this new signee to be a ticket mover. You want them to sell for you. And if they come in to do a title picture and they lose said title picture, as a fan, I could be like, well, why should I care about Superstar A? They just came in and lost this big match. Now, granted, pro wrestling, that shouldn't be the case where we instantly just poo-poo on anybody who loses, because who really cares? Win and losses don't matter. But in the general respect of fandom, watching, whatever, a viewer, if I see that not knowing anything, I'm not going to care about them. So you're kind of almost stuck in a pigeonhole where they have to win that title. Now, I get it. Should we do that with new people every time? No. We don't have to just be like, here's Mercedes, she gets a title shot. Here's Cody, he gets a title shot. No. We should be better of like debuting Superstar, work to it. Have some kind of program, some build, so they build rapport with the fans, whatever. We get behind them, we rally, we are motivated to cheer for them, whatever it is. That, I agree, is another route that could be taken and maybe should be taken more in comparison to new Superstar here, boom, title shot, boom, taken over. A way they could counteract this is, let's say Roman's champ, right? Roman's in the ring, end of Mania, or some other time, who fucking knows. He's celebrating, I'm the man, I'm the boss. Cut to black, get a tease on the big Titantron, here comes Switchblade. Stare down across the entranceway and the ring. Cut to black, then we just know Jay has intentions for the title. This literally, you could change names with anybody here. I'm just using these two as an example. We know he is in a hunt for the title. And then he's got to have his journey to get there. But we know, Roman knows, I got to watch out for this guy. And it's planted in our head like, oh my God, we could have that. I feel like that was what they tried to do with Cody initially. The Peck threw everything off. Because how did Cody enter? Cody enters as surprise guy at Mania against Seth. Pyro. Blah, blah, blah. He does 3 matches with him. Peck happens day before third match or something like that. He's out for however long. And now he's back on the original path of track of Rumble to Roman. I think it just feels so shitty right now because, like you said, it's instantaneous. He's back, title shot. He came in at 30, which I know you and I have discussed, Papa Griff, off of stream, of like, he got the easy road, and we're back here. I think it's just a matter, I'm not saying like you couldn't rework it or redo it, start it from scratch. I think maybe this is a Roman problem. And then you could also make the argument of like, okay, then why didn't Sammy win? Maybe Roman not has to, but really wants to leave. And they feel Cody is better, suited for the spot as the guy in comparison to Sammy. Okay, fine. Maybe that's the thing. Maybe they have plans for what Cody would do after he wins the title. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. There's no way I could know. Obviously, I'm not in Connecticut or anywhere else where WWE is like working on this stuff. Would I love to? Yes, but that's a different topic. Like, I don't know. It's a total, like, every feeling totally valid. I totally understand where you're coming from. I'm just trying to think from like, why would they continue to do that or like stick to the path? The path was for Cody to defeat Roman, so that's the route they're going. If you wanted to pull an audible, you had two very strong moments to pull an audible right now, and they haven't. Drew at Clash in the Castle, that was a moment they could have done, or Sammy this weekend in Montreal, that was a moment they could have done. But this storyline, we're sticking through, we're continuing, and then once we get past it, I think it will be another kind of like resurgence of like this storyline gets fresh. Like we've seen with the IC title, we've seen with the US title tag, we've seen more tag title matches. Obviously, Usos has retained. We'll just have to see going forward. But this storyline, it seemed like they're committed to seeing it through. Hopefully afterwards the payoff is worth it and it's not just, okay, Cody wins title and then nothing. We'll have to see. Okay, let's see. Fine, I get that, but knowing you booked Cody for this a year ago, why not resolve the Sammy issue 6 months ago instead of dragging out till now when it all crashes into Cody time? That's fair. I don't know what the timeline for Sammy and the Bloodline is, to be honest, so I don't want to misspeak and be like, well, it only started so long ago that it just kind of naturally progressed to this point. I don't know if it was held out for super long. I think it might have been one of those things where you had to give it enough time that Sammy really developed into the group, and then, there's enough emotional turnabout when that moment did happen. But yeah, it is another unfortunate circumstance of like, it's back to back of like, great story and then the planned story. I don't know. It very fair. So yeah, we'll have to see going into Mania, everybody, what's going on with these storylines. Hopefully the payoff is good. Is Jay White going to come into WWE? Is anybody else? Who knows? But hope you guys enjoyed the Elimination Chamber. I always love talking wrestling, talking shop. Wow, I am really sounding like a mark. Really enjoy talking everything, so it's just fun. It's exciting to, kind of brainstorm, try and predict anything that's going on in the wrestling world. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Hopefully you guys enjoy what's to come, and hopefully we can just have some more fun wrestling conversations in the future. So let's move on to topic 2. Let's talk some movies. Let's talk about a little franchise you guys might know as the Pirates of the Caribbean. What? Yeah, that throwback movie. So, Lady and I decided, hey, we're bored. Let's watch some movies last weekend, as of recording, and we decided to watch Pirates 1, 2, and 3, aka the good, the great, the pretty good. The good 3. We're not going to go into 4. Last I recall seeing 4 in theaters, it was, and I haven't tried 5 yet, so I honestly can't give an opinion there. But we decided to watch 1, 2, 3, revisit that. So I just kind of wanted to gush about it for a few minutes, kind of talk about the memories, what we thought about it overall, and just the fun experience. And I guess I'll just start right there. Overall, 1, 2, 3, a very fun experience. They have a good through point story with 1, 2, and 3 with, the Curse of the Black Pearl and the Aztec Gold going into Davy Jones' locker and Jack Sparrow's debt, into his redemption coming back, and the whole pirate war against the East India Trading Company. Perfect, maybe not perfect, but a really great arc of story between these 3 films, a lot of connective tissue between these 3 films, and just a fun ride overall. And it's one of those things where across these movies, in rewatching them so many times, it almost seems like every time I watch them, I get a little bit more and more from the story each time that I kind of experience them. And I remember as a kid when these movies came out, something I watched with my parents, like, we seemed really all invested into the story, trying to figure out before the next one came out, like, what's this character? What's their motivation? Oh, is this an Easter egg to that? Is that a tease for that? This thing, like, there's things, breadcrumbs and other trails that they kind of leave throughout the films that are connective tissue to the rest of the story. And it's a lot of fun when you notice those things. And it's just props to those, creators, directors, producers, actors, whoever had their hands in that project, because the story is deep and the world building is deep, and with these things hidden in there and strewn about, it's just more rewarding as a fan of, like, an experience overall, and you get more out of the story, and you have the fun theory talks and everything. It's like the MCU before the MCU, except it was the pirates. Like, it's just a lot of fun. And whether it was, once again, these breadcrumbs that were amongst the films and kind of hidden in plain sight, or, from my understanding, a couple of the first movies to have post-credit sequences to tease upcoming things in the next one, even if it was small. Very fun, very rewarding. A perfect example is the whole Barbossa revival thing. Obviously, in the first movie, he perishes after the Aztec curse. Jack shoots him. And by the end of movie 2, he has been resurrected by Tia Dama to then help get Jack Sparrow back in the third one. So his resurrection is teased, like, in the first third of the second movie. We have the undead monkey Jack, which you don't even know the monkey is still undead unless you saw the first post-credits at the end of the first movie. And the monkey is given to Tia Dama as a gift. The monkey then runs out of the cage and runs into a side room and runs to an object and holds it, and he's kind of, like, concerned. And if you look, it's a fucking boot, and they show it twice. The first time's kind of very quick glimpse. The second shot, when she goes back there to get the jar of dirt, like, they linger on the monkey, and it, like, you can clearly see it's a pair of boots. The monkey knows it's Barbossa. He's right there. I don't know if he was fully revived at that time or resurrected, but, like, they put it right in front of your eyes that, oh, something's here. And when he gets the reveal at the end, like, if you didn't notice it, obviously it's that big moment of like, what the fuck? Why are you alive? Very cool thing there that obviously if you get those little breadcrumbs along the way is rewarding. But then also something I picked up on this time is the reason why Tia Dama brought Barbossa back. And I know this could have been very apparent to anyone who watched it the first time. Maybe it's just because I was a kid when I watched these films. It didn't really resonate with me. So the whole plot of the third movie, or at least a part of the plot of the third movie, is pirate war. Pirates versus the East India Trading Company to get the freedom back, right? And the whole thing is the pirate lords, the 8 pieces of 9 or 9 pieces of 8, whatever it is, you know, we're getting the pirates together and they're going to band together and they're going to go against those guys. The whole reason that Tia Dama brings back Barbossa is not for Jack. Well, actually is for Jack, but it's kind of like a chain. She brings back Barbossa to bring back Jack, which both of them are pirate lords in this meeting. And she needs all the pirate lords and their little junk to free her from her human bond and jail, to become Callisto, to be free again herself. In the third movie, it is the biggest mindfuck of the century because everyone is out for their own fucking self. And there's so many backstabs, crosses, hoodwinks, shenanigans from everybody. I'm doing this for you, for this, against you, to do this, to shove it up your ass, to da-da-da. It's just like, what's going on? Everybody's lying to each other. Everybody's got their own fucking goals and things that they're doing. And at times, it's just like, my God, can we please be all on the same page for 1 second? But yeah, very interesting once you get to that third movie to see all the different motivations and tracks that are going on as they're just constantly stepping over each other, trying to be the top person. So Tia Dama's was one I picked up on in this movie of like, oh, okay, now I understand what is fully happening here of that. And then speaking of breadcrumbs and Tia Dama, obviously by the third movie, we know that her and Davy Jones were the lovers. But they plant that in the second movie too with the lockets. And I think Papa Griff noticed this ages ago when we watched it for the first time. He's like, oh, they're the ones in love. Me, never noticed that. At least for the longest time of like, what? Very similar lockets, the same song, just teasing it back and forth between the two. Just like one of those things, if you weren't paying attention, totally miss it. A small thing, very small thing, that I had noticed from the first movie into the second movie this time for the first time is in the second movie, in the first movie, the whole motivation or the storyline is the Aztec gold and it's cursed. You take coins out of it, you become undead, you can't feel anything, and the only way the curse is broken is return the coin with your blood into the thing. Everyone who took a piece, then you're good to go. In the second movie, we see that Jack has the Black Pearl, has a new crew. Crew's not happy after his little adventure into this castle-esque structure with the dead bodies being taken care of. He gets the whole drawing of the key, right? And the crew's not happy. They're like, oh, we don't have anything shiny and we're not getting rewarded for this. It's not profitable. And I never picked up on it, but in that dialogue, they mention that the Isla de Morta, where the Aztec gold was, where in the first movie, also something I picked up on this time, they were stockpiling gold, Barbossa's crew, were stockpiling gold for 10 years to then have like a big blowout birthday bash celebration when they finally got the curse lifted and they'd be rich men. In the second movie, they mention that the island where the Aztec gold is and all of this gold that they had built up flooded. They lost everything. All that gold, the curse stuff, it flooded due to a hurricane or typhoon. I don't remember. All of it's gone. So that's why they're in such a shitty place in the second movie, is because all the riches, nowhere to be found. So that's kind of creates the animosity between the crew and our OG crew that we met in the first movie, and leads to the whole cannibal island thing of why they're competing against each other. Just a fun little thing that I picked up on this time. I don't know confirmation wise if there's a whole backstory with the cannibal island and Jack and his dad, Captain Teague, and the mom, who we see as a shrunken head, and then the dog who shows up at the very end of the pirate meeting because the dog was trapped on the island with the cannibals and was their next god in that second movie's post-credits. I don't know if there's a whole lore there. It's kind of alluded to. Maybe that's why they thought Jack was a god, because they thought his dad was there previously and was a god. It's a whole tunnel of thoughts there. I'm sure there's articles you could read about it, but they allude to it. We'll have to see, I guess. Not that it really matters, if that is anything. Yeah, where's the rest of the crew? The cages were built after we arrived. Like, there must have been a lot of people on that boat, Rainbow. Like, that they had enough bones to make 2 cages, and then they still had people in each of the cages to escape. But interesting sequence there. Some characters, obviously, that we see throughout the whole time, which I do appreciate. Even minimal roles, I do appreciate that we get to see follow-up from them. You have the 2 British guards that are protecting the Interceptor when Jack kind of fools them to get onto the ship. You don't see them in the second movie, but they do get a return in the third movie to eventually become pirates afterwards. They're a funny crew. We had, speaking of crew, we had the initial, Jack Sparrow crew with Mr. Gibbs and Mr. Cotton and his parrot and the shorter gentleman, which I don't recall his character's name. You get those 3. You get Barbossa's 2 guys, the one with the eye and his friend. I'm sorry, I'm terrible with character names. I probably should have pulled up an article. But those 2, you get to see this whole crew throughout their journey there, and they stay consistent. A little unfortunate that you didn't get Zoe Saldana's character, but I guess that makes sense that Jack owed her a ship, so she would have gone on her own adventures. But nonetheless, it would have been cool to see her come back maybe at the end for the Pirate War or whatever. Obviously, Barbossa staying all the way through. I know he continues in his journeys in at least 4, and we continue a little bit of his story arc, but as I said, we're not going to talk about 4 all that much, as it was a downer when I first watched it, and I haven't rewatched it since. And then, the governor, his journey. There was, what's his name? Oh, crud. The Commodore. Norrington, we see his journey from top of the mountain to the bottom of the barrel back to at least some sort of military, and then some redemption for him. Will and Elizabeth's journey. Just very cool throughout the whole, like I said, world building, keeping those characters around, giving them development and progression there. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that stands out from those films that I wanted to talk about. No, I think that's it. Just, it's a great time, all 3 films, and I think obviously they had a great plan for the trilogy. Obviously, 1 compared to 2 and 3, while there's the connective tissue, 1 is still a little separate from 2 and 3, whether you don't have Beckett in there. You don't have Davy Jones in there quite yet. So on its own, 1 stands alone, and then 2 and 3 more are this mesh together or flow a little bit better. But overall, this trilogy is really, really good, and it was a fun rewatch. You know, it's a series that has a good story overall, can get hokey at times. There's plenty of moments in the series that, you know, you just have to chuckle at. Obviously, the second movie, with the whole, going back to the cannibals, the cages rolling around and dropping off these high heights, whether it's Jack in his like pole vaulting across things down a cavern, falling through 3 bridges to the ground, somehow surviving. You have Norrington, Will, and Jack fighting on the big water wheel and balancing and all that. Like, it gets hokey, it gets ridiculous, but it's entertaining there. You in the first movie, when Will's saving Jack, like, man's got a poofy ass hat, looks fancy AF, but then proceeds to save Jack. Does a front flip for style, keeps his hat on. Does a dive roll for style with Jack, keeps his hat on. Like, all for the gag of Jack just to go, nice hat. Like, it's just like, it's stupidity, but it's entertaining, and it's a good time there. And there's a couple moments in 3 that I'm sure they keep on that same page, but fun franchise overall. Like I said, kind of dips down after the 3rd one, so I think maybe they should have kept it at 3, but I get it. Money. A fun time. Definitely worth a rewatch. I don't feel like it ages terribly. I would say the CG, honestly, still holds up. Like, whether it's the zombies or the pirate crew in the first movie, or obviously, you know, Davy Jones and his crew, I think they all look fantastic. Yeah, just solid 3 movies. Had a lot of fun rewatching them. And yeah, just a blast. So yeah, I wanted to gush about those a little bit and about my experience there. Let's move on to topic 3. More gushing. Let's talk a little video games. Let's talk about Neon White. Probably be quick with this, but I just wanted to gush about Neon White, my experience with it. Recently was able to play it on stream, beat it, and I just want to talk about how fun this game is and the ups and downs that I kind of have experienced with it going through the journey and then afterwards off of stream. So if you don't know what Neon White is the best way I can describe it is a speed running platforming anime game. Anime in the sense that it has a good story, but sometimes can be very goofy, tongue-in-cheek. And then the speedrunning platforming aspect, there's every level is platforming, has different guns that you can use to either eliminate enemies or use as different tools to kind of help you progress, whether it's double jumps, dashes, different abilities and skills to get through the maps, to figure out the puzzles, to try and reach certain times to attain your goal of a rank amongst all the other demons in this competition. The story revolves around Neon White, wow, and his friends Yellow, Red, and Purple. And you guys are dealing with the big bad, I guess you could say, of Neon Green. And all of the characters have a backstory in their human lives, which you can learn about if you explore the relationships and do certain things. Man, I feel like I gotta sneeze, but nope. So you can learn more about that if you dive into it and really explore that if you want. But the story that they also just show, if you don't dive fully into it, very interesting and has a good payoff at the end. I will say probably my favorite mechanic or aspect of this game is the gameplay itself. It is just one of those things that immediately captures you the more and more you play it, or captures you more, I should say, as you play it. And it's a fun loop. I never thought I would be into the speedrunning type stuff just because that's not something that I gravitate towards. It's very impressive to watch, but never was a forte of mine or something I could do really well. And these levels have a good flow and rewarding kind of gameplay loop for you as you run through these. So as you're going through the level, if you achieve, or if you finish finish it, there will be 4 times to achieve: a basic completion, a silver, a gold, and then your ace time. And in order to progress enough in the story, you don't have to do it with every level, but you want to try and achieve this gold level. This gold level will increase your rank in the competition via the story, and enough of those you will be able to progress through the story and get more missions. The ace time is just another thing to try and chase after to get a little bit more out of your story, as well as trophies. Lastly, in the levels, along with the time, if you do well enough, you can unlock the ability to get gifts. And these gifts in the level are, I guess you could say, random collectibles hidden within each level. Sometimes they're very easy to find, sometimes they're very difficult to find, and you need to plan out how to defeat the level in a different way besides just running through and defeating all the enemies that may be present. You have to figure out how to traverse the puzzle while also keeping the appropriate cards in order to achieve gaining the gift. If you gain the gift, you can give it to your friends, and then you can get that backstory and lore based on your other neons, as I explained before. So it has that replayability of like, oh, well, I want to learn more about these characters. Let me explore that aspect of the game. From a gameplay perspective, I don't know where I was going from there, or mechanic, it just was it was just a fun time to play through these levels, and I thought it would be a hard thing to do to achieve these ace times, but it's not. If you are willing to be patient with yourself and just play it a few times to be like, okay, this worked. Let's see if I can do this, whether it's cutting a corner or jumping a little earlier or higher, or maybe not going the path that they're directing you. See if you can beat those times. It's so much fun to just run through, see your time against your friends, whoever else has played the game. So you're like, oh man, Kyle beat me in this level. Let me see if I can beat it again. Oh, I beat Joe this time. That's great. If you have those friends who have played it, it's fun comparing the times. And they have global leaderboards too. If you really want to be super competitive about it, you can. But it's easy enough where you can achieve these speed running goals and get more out of the game without being like a top 1% speedrunner gamer kind of thing. And I appreciate that. It's that bar that you can reach for and achieve without being something super impossible and super competitive if you don't want it. It's just a nice, chill game, chill atmosphere with its music and its tonality that the gameplay just works, and it flows from level to level, and it's fun to play and is rewarding as you go through the experience. Story overall, I would say, is solid. Interesting from time to time where they go with the characters. I wish I got a little bit more of a backstory with everybody to complete that side of the story. But if you want the true quote-unquote ending, you need to get all the gifts. You need to explore the backlog and all the dialogues of all the characters. And then at the end, you do have a choice to either sentence Green to essentially death or redeem him and forgive him, and go from there. That forgiveness path, you need to get all the backstory and the gifts. So just a heads up if you're going to do that. I have still yet to achieve that goal, unfortunately, because of something that is wrong with this game. So the game initially released, I believe, on PC and Nintendo Switch. I could be wrong there, but it was both on both of those platforms, and then later on came to the PlayStation platforms 4 and 5. I was playing this on PlayStation 5. That's just my console of choice. Decided to play it there. It came out at the end of the year. We streamed it all the way through, like I said, had a great time. And I was very, very fortunate that I was able to play it all the way through. Because apparently the PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 versions are buggy, and which sometimes they will randomly wipe your saves, whether it's corrupted or whatever it is, and your save file will be completely gone. I had heard some friends were experiencing this prior to me playing the game, and I was like, ooh, that's unfortunate. I had assumed by the time that I started streaming it that they had patched it, they had fixed it, figured out what the issues were, and obviously, from my experience, I had no issues going through the whole story. So we streamed the end, and that following weekend, I was like, I want to continue working towards the platinum, which if you don't know what platinums are, it's pretty much getting all the trophies, all the challenges done, and it's essentially like you're 100%ing the game from a PlayStation perspective. So I wanted to do that because I just was enjoying the gameplay, enjoyed the loop, and wanted more out of this experience, so wanted to try and achieve everything I could get. So in turning the game back on after stream that following weekend, I noticed that I only had the new game option and the options tab. And I was like, oh, that's unfortunate. Maybe it was because I had made my end game choice. They had given me, like a lot of games do, like, this is your last chance to do anything that you want to before the end. So I was like, oh, maybe because of that, because it was the end game, that it resets you and you have to start from the beginning. I was like, okay, it stinks that I can't just pop back in, do the things I missed, whether it was the secret ending or the different challenge runs for the different characters, if you invested in their characters enough. But I get it, it's not going to be the end of the world. So I played for a few hours that day. I got through the first 3 worlds and I was like, all right, great, made a good progress. We'll pick this up later or the next day. I don't remember. So quit out the game, play something else, close the console, whatever it is. I come back to it. Same thing. New game, options. And I'm like, fuck. I play it for maybe 15 minutes. Quit out. Immediately after closing the app, load it back up. No save file to be found. Fuck. So they're still having issues on PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4 of save data. About a week later, they released another patch saying they attempted to fix some issues. Great. I try it again. Hour. Close the app. Reopen the app. Nothing. No save file at all. Son of a bitch. As of recording Friday, they released another patch claiming to have fixed the issues more. As of recording, I have played the game again. I do have another save file, and it is working fine. I have tried closing the app. I've tried closing the console, or turning the console off. Everything is still there. Hopefully everything is fine now. It's just one of those rough things of like, I don't know how that happens, but a little bit of a bump in the road of like, dang, that's unfortunate. However, I will say this is testament to the gameplay once again. It is fun to just jump back into and dive in on this gameplay. A little saddening to see like my best times are still in the leaderboards, but do not replicate what I've actually achieved in the game. But it's a fun game to jump back into and is enjoyable each time. So I'm willing to deal with this in order to get there. Hopefully it continues to be fixed and, it has no further issues. I'd like to see what other challenges lay ahead. I believe once you max out each character, you get like, I don't remember what it's challenge courses essentially, but I'm not sure what it fully entails. If it's different levels than what I had gone through in the main story, or if it's like 5 levels in one life or whatever it is, I honestly have no idea. But I'm looking forward to experiencing those, seeing how tough this platinum actually is, if I am out of my mind and crazy that I'm never going to achieve it, just because the speedrunning aspect does go to so high of levels. I have no idea. We'll have to see. Time will tell. But yeah, if you haven't played Neon White, seen Neon White, I highly recommend it. Like I said, Switch, PC, PlayStation platforms. I don't think it's on Xbox just yet, if they are planning it there. I recommend checking out, even if you're not a speedrunning person. I think the story is fun has a good time with it. The gameplay is smooth and intuitive and makes sense. And if you allow yourself to be patient, if you choose to push those time limits, I think that's something that's fun and easy enough to chase after, that when you do achieve it, it's still an accomplishment. You still feel it, but it's not going to be groundbreaking or anything like that. Or not groundbreaking. Like, it's not going to punish you or feel punishing while you're attempting to do it. It's just a good time overall. Highly recommend it. So yes, before I lose my voice, this has been another episode of the Wait, What Are We Talking About podcast. My name is Bret, aka Enigma9011, and if you want to catch this podcast live, you go over to twitch.tv/Enigma9011, usually every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You join the chat, join the conversation like Papa Griff, Mrs. G, and Rainbow did today. Join on the fun. We'd love to have you, but if you can't catch live, that is A-OK. Go over to YouTube and podcast services the very next week, where it's broken out topic by topic and put as one big video in MP3 for your amusement on the following Friday. Last but not least, any way you can support the show, whether it's leaving a comment or review, sharing the podcast with somebody you love. It may seem small, but it does help the show grow, helps us have a great time here, helps us out. If you do that, we would love you for it and appreciate you. I appreciate you guys hanging out today with us for these 3 topics, giving this a watch, giving a listen, and we will see you guys on the next one. Take care.